Recording, and as you know, when we're recording our events, you will find the recording posted on the Hunters and Gatherers page within the next 48 hours. If you don't manage to find it in the Hunters and Gatherers feed, you can always go to the Tamara Hunter YouTube channel. You'll find the little cartoon of the woman juggling her life. It's kind of me. And you'll be able to find all of our recordings from previous calls. So welcome to the call tonight, and thanks so much for making the effort to get on. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about our 90-day game plan. We're going to have a bit of a catch-up call. And the purpose of this call really is to help us all refocus and get our mojo back after the first 3 weeks of the 90-day game plan. Now, this is a place where we need to be really open and honest and share how we're feeling at the moment, because I certainly know in our Massive Action group, a number of people have been feeling the push. So I'd like a hands up if anyone else is just feeling a little bit flat at the moment, maybe taking a couple of steps backwards, feel like they're maybe not moving as fast forward as they might. Okay, so let me tell you, you're not the only ones. I think a lot of people right now have felt that perhaps that initial motivation, that initial internal cheerleader, that initial hype that we all had after the 90-day game plan has probably jaded just a little bit. And this is not unusual. We know, for example, in the gym industry, when somebody purchases a gym membership, it takes them on average about 21 days before they stop going. So it's not unusual to be in this situation where our initial hype and our initial motivation is starting to wear a little bit thin. And sometimes when we just rely on that motivation and that internal cheerleader, and we don't have that consistency and that daily method of operation, often life can just start to get in the way. So today is really about refocusing, re-energizing, and re-getting back on track with your 90-day game plan. So there's three main things that I want to look at today. The first thing is, what is working for you towards your 90-day game plan? The second thing is, what might not be working for you? And is there anything that we need to change, or is there anything that needs to be improved to help you get back on track for your 90-day game plan? Thanks, Judes. I just got your message. Appreciate it. So the number one thing that we need to do is make sure that we're in the right mindset, right? Make sure that we're in the right state. As we've heard time and time again, there is no getting stuck. There is no I can't. There is no this is too hard. There are simply challenges that we need to surmount. Now, think of any job. Does anyone here work in paid work, where they go to work for an hourly wage? Okay, so all of us work in jobs, or some of us work in jobs where we have a job description and a job to do. Now, who here has had a challenge at work before? When they're working for someone else, you've got a job description, you have to, who's had a challenge before? Have you turned around to your boss and said, I can't do that, it's too hard? Probably not. Probably not. The first thing you've probably done is tried to come up with some solutions. And once you put some solutions in place and they might not have worked and you've tried to do things a little bit differently, then you might go to your boss for some help. But you've got to use the same thing, the same philosophy right here is, you go through a series of tests to see what the problem is, and then you work out the possible solutions. So from now on, guys, change that mindset. It's simply about having those challenges, and we just have to come up with solutions. So who here might have had some aha moments around your beliefs at the 90-day game plan? So if we think about what our beliefs are in this industry, it's a belief in the product, a belief in the industry, a belief in the Juice Plus company itself, and a belief in self. So if we very quickly do our little 0 to 10, where 10 is 100% belief and 0 is none. So just in your head, how's your belief with the product? How's your belief with the Juice Plus company? How's your belief with the industry? And how's your belief with yourself? Now, you don't need to share this out loud, but if any of you are finding that your belief in any one of those four things is below a 7, then it's time to address it. Because the only way that you can move forward with your 90-day game plan is to address your belief issues. So if any of you had an aha moment about one of those beliefs, that you need to work on, then it's time to make sure you get to work on that, because you will not be able to move forward. So, for example, the most common one that we come across is belief in the industry. And I know certainly with myself, when I first did this 90-day game plan back in January, I'm not sure if anyone's having trouble hearing or seeing me. Everyone's just frozen. I don't think I've ever dropped out, ever. Sorry, guys. Thanks for taking over. Bronnie, did you just take over?
Yeah, just a little bit. I was just trying to get you taking over.
Sorry, guys. So we were talking about beliefs. So, for example, with myself, when I first did this 90-day game plan back in when I started in January, one of the biggest challenges for me was my belief in the industry. Now, the only way that I was going to get over that issue with my belief in the industry was to get to work and do some homework. So I actually spent the majority of last Christmas holidays listening to the MLM Nation podcast. So there were 3 a week. So I listened to 3 a week. I read GoPro and I read The 4-Year Career. And so for any blokes out there, if you're struggling, then I suggest that you read The 4-Year Career, because it's all about the numbers. And I know blokes are all about the numbers. So think about your aha moment around the beliefs. Challenge yourself with what your belief levels actually are. And if you have anything that's below a 7, then you need to get to work on working on those beliefs. So the next thing I want to briefly touch on is your 90-day game plan. Has everyone got their little books in front of them? Hands up if you got your books in front of you. Fantastic. If anyone doesn't have their book in front of them, go get it. This is what the whole 90-day game plan is about. Okay. So who went home after the 90-day game plan and actually sat down and reviewed what they had set for themselves? Yeah? Is anyone here willing to admit that they haven't done that yet? Because that's really the key to all of this. If you don't have a solid written down plan, if you haven't been through that plan with a fine-tooth comb, then you really haven't set that 90-day game plan in place. Okay? So have you reviewed it and have you refined it? Did you go to your upline? Where do I get that book, Maria? Speak to the person who brought you into the business, or speak to your upline NMD and we'll help you out with that. So all of you guys, did you seek your upline or support person? Did you seek them out to ensure you know exactly what you need to do to achieve your goal? Okay. So if you were sitting for an exam, if you were studying for a course, to get an A or a high distinction, you'd be doing everything that you can to get where you want to go. So you'd be talking to your teachers, your mentors, you'd be sitting down with your tutors, going through problems, working things out. Well, the same thing goes with this 90-day game plan. You know, if you're not completely clear on what you have to do in September, October, November, and November, December, then you need to go to your support person. Because don't forget, they get paid a teacher's bonus for every time they help you. So utilize them. Sit them down, brainstorm, find out exactly what it is that you have to do to achieve your goal. Not only that, but it keeps you accountable. You've actually been open and honest with somebody about what it is you're wanting to achieve, and they're going to keep you accountable to that. So have you clarified your why? Who here is not clear on their why? I haven't seen any hands up. That's brilliant. So that's probably the most important thing, because when the going gets tough and the challenges are there, you're going to need to know why you're doing this. And that needs to be really strong. It needs to be something that you can feel, smell, see, touch, taste. It needs to be really clear. Is everyone clear on what their goal is? Does everyone know what goal they're trying to achieve? Okay, fantastic. And does everyone know where they're at currently in the business and what they need to do to get that goal? Have you come up with those 3 things that you're prepared to sacrifice over the next 90 days? Fantastic, good. Are you sacrificing those things? Are you turning the TV off? Are you maybe having a little less sleep, maybe getting up and being part of the 5 a.m. club? Are you perhaps spending some time on your weekends working on your business? What are the sorts of things that you have agreed to sacrifice? Because the only way that you're going to move forward from what you're doing now is if you change what you're doing. So that's really important. And have you identified 3 things that need to help you get into that business mindset? Have you started to work through those things? You know, it might be business cards. Have you put in the order for business cards? Have you done your vision board? Have you sorted out and arranged your new Facebook page? Have you relaunched your business on Facebook? Have you sorted out your desk? Have you got a new computer? Don't make these things your excuses. So has everyone done something towards getting into their business mindset? Awesome. Great. Good stuff. All right. And then the next thing, probably the most important thing, is looking at what you needed to do in September. So we're 21 days in to our September goal. Have you started moving towards the things that you wanted to do in September? Have you achieved already? Anyone here achieved in the last 3 weeks the things that they set for themselves in September? Or have you gone more than halfway there? Okay. Maybe 50% of people putting their hands up. So what's stopping you? What are the things that are stopping you from achieving the things that you set for yourself in September? So once again, go back to mindset. Go back to what your beliefs are. Is everyone clear on their beliefs? Go back to what your goal is. Go back to the things that you decided to sacrifice. Are you making sure that you are doing all of those things? And if you're not, then again, you need to fix that. So what are the things that you should be doing in order? And I don't want to should all over you, but you really should be doing these things if you want to move towards your 90-day game plan. And that really is your daily method of operation. So do you know what your daily method of operation is? Who here is clear on what they have to do every single day? Who's actually doing their daily method of operation every single day? Honestly, are you really doing your daily method of operation? Okay, so what are the sorts of things that need to be on your daily method of operation? Well, the very first thing is talk to people. There's not very much in this business that we have to do, but that is one thing that you have to do. You actually have to talk to people. Decide how many people you feel is achievable on a daily basis. I made the decision back in August of this year that I was happy with 5 contacts per day. Now that has been a bit of a stretch, but I'm okay with that. But 5 was my limit. I wasn't ever going to be a 10 contacts a day person, and I'm okay with that. If for you in your busy life, 1 new person per day is a contact, that's fantastic, because you know what? That is 30 brand new people that you've spoken to in a month, which is an impressive way to connect with people. So you decide how many is achievable and then use the tools that we have. Now, the greatest tool that you have been given is the 30 and 30 grid. Who here doesn't know the 30 and 30 grid? Everyone knows the 30 and 30 grid. Fantastic. So you know that you can go onto your virtual office and download that from tools and applications. Equally, you'll find the 30 and 30 grid in the files section of Hunters and Gatherers. Just use that. The other thing that you've been given, and a lot of people are using this now, is the chart that Natalie put in your 90-day game plan. If you feel that it's easier for you and clearer for you to use this, then certainly that's another alternative. But you have to talk to people on a consistent basis. And we're just going to talk to a couple of people in a second who have been doing that consistently, so they can let you know how effective it has been for them. The second thing that you need to be doing, maybe not on a daily basis, but certainly on a weekly basis, is tapping into events. Now, I can tell you right now that the growth of your business is directly proportional to how many events you are tapping into per week. Like, that is a mathematical reality. If you are tapping into 1 event per week, maybe even 1 event per fortnight, you're going to grow your business slowly. If you are tapping into 2 to 3 events per week, then you are going to grow your business fast. Now, we all have excuses. There's no live events in my area. It's too late at night for me to get on things. They're not talking about topics I'm particularly interested. Well, you know what? Every single one of you out there has your own AU number, or your own business number. What that means is you're in business for yourself. So very easily, you could develop your own events. It could be a coffee catch up. It could be an online event. You could get together with some sideline in your area. But seriously, if you're not tapping into 2 to 3, we have so many events on our calendar now. It is ridiculous. Like, I can't even keep up with the postings that are happening as far as events going. So there is always an event that you can tap into. And if you're not tapping into them, again, you're not doing the daily method of operation. Create your own. Use social media. Now, we all heard from John Holowati, we heard from Simon Mitchell, we heard from Emma and Mike Snedden, we heard from Natalie Baldock, that the way to build this business fast and the way to reach out is using social media. It is what the successful people are doing. But use it as a funnel. Don't be doing these ones, because that's time wasting. Just use it as a business tool. I'll talk a little bit later about the different ways that you can use social media. Respect the time that you have spending on social media. Respect your own time. Give yourself a mere 10 minutes. Don't give yourself a half an hour. Your use of social media should always be about recruiting friends, basically, because that is where your contacts are going to come from. And the final thing that you should be doing on a consistent basis is follow-up. I'm going to talk about follow-up in just a little while. So we talked about the importance of talking to people and taking massive action. So who feels that they're talking to a consistent amount of people every day and taking massive action? Okay. Who feels that they probably could do a little better? Okay. Thank you for being honest. I appreciate it. So there are a couple of people who have taken some massive action. I want to remind all of you that it takes time. So you might, over the last 3 weeks, be talking to a lot of people, but you might not be getting huge amounts of traction just yet. And that's okay. We heard from John Holowati that it took him over 60 days before he got his first order. So, you know, if you haven't signed up 10 customers in this first 3 weeks, it doesn't matter. Because I know that the momentum over the next month or two of constantly making these contacts, getting better at talking to people, making more consistent contacts, you will start to recruit. So I want to bring online Lucy Dixon, who has been taking massive action in a big way over the last 21 days since she got real at the 90-day game plan. Lucy, if you could tell us a little bit about what it was like for you to have that aha moment about the need to be taking massive action. Tell us a little bit about what you've done over the last 21 days and what sort of momentum and traction are you getting with that. Talk to us also about getting uncomfortable, because I know that you've been in a few situations where you've just embraced that discomfort.
Hey guys.
Oh,
thanks,
we lost
Tamara. Hold on. I'm gonna take them off, I think. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. The aha moment, I think, was I have to say, it was actually more about when John Holowati got the barman as a franchisee, because I was like, well, I should have fucking got the barman as a franchisee because I'm in the same bloody town as him. And John Holowati's just swanned in from England and got the bloody barman as a franchisee. And I'd spoken to the barman already. So I was kind of kicking myself that the barman wasn't my franchisee. And I know there were aha moments in the whole training, but for me that was even bigger because it was John kind of walking his talk, I suppose. And it made me go, well, I can be talking to more people. As uncomfortable as it is, I can.
Oh, we just lost you, Luce.
More people. So I to. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
So I set myself, I'm going to stand up. I set myself a challenge to talk to complete strangers as well as talking to people that I know on Facebook. Really uncomfortable. I know I come across as quite confident, but talking to people who I don't know is a bit weird for me. And I'll tell you something that happened yesterday that was really awkward, but I just carried on talking to the poor guy. But so to start with, when I went to Woolworths, instead of going to the self-serve checkout, I went to the actual checkout with a real life person. And she had a really nice tattoo on her arm. So I just started chatting to her about the tattoo. asking her where she got it done. I mean, I don't have a tattoo. I'm probably never going to get one in my life, but it started a conversation. Told her about my husband's tattoos, etc., and then said to her, oh, how's your day going? Do you like working here? Is this your only job? She's like, no, not my only job. I've got like 2 jobs and I go to university. And then I just went bang in with the business. And I had like 3 minutes to talk to her because I didn't have a lot of shopping and there were people behind us, but I managed to get her phone number. That's all I managed to get. I texted her, didn't hear anything back. That was in my first week. And she's just texted me back today to say she wants to meet. So I suppose coming off the back of that is to say, don't get disheartened if people don't message you straight back, because sometimes they need to let it sit and they need to think about it and then they need to get back to you when they're ready. Having that conversation with a complete stranger boosted me to have another one. So on the way home, I realized I'd forgotten something. And instead of going back to the same shop, I went to IGA and I spoke to that lady behind the counter. Turns out she was absolutely exhausted. She had low iron. She was going through all these blood tests. I was like, brilliant. I've got something that might be able to help you. Got her email address. So I think the thing about getting out of your comfort zone is you get out of your comfort zone and then after a while it becomes your comfort zone because it becomes so natural and easy to do. I then found myself talking to people about the product or the business without even realizing I was doing it. In the waiting room at PMH, for instance, I speak to other mothers about it. And then just getting out of my own head, really, on the tough days, which they're always tough days where you think, why am I doing this? I'm rubbish at this, I'm crappy at this, whatever. Then I go back to my why. Why am I doing this? And, those that know me, I've got a lot going on with my why at the moment with one of my daughters. And I just have to look at her and go, I can't make her my excuse because she is my why. So I have to kind of stop, take stock, go for a walk, do a meditation, whatever, and then get my head back into the game, because the only way I'm going to grow my business is by doing the 90-day game plan. I know that is fact. It's fact. I'm going to stay a sales coordinator if I don't do the 90-day game plan and if I don't stick to it. So I'm sticking to it. And only this week, so we're on day 22 now, only this week I've started to have some really, from doing follow-ups, actually, I'm starting to have some real interest and deeper conversations about the business, and I'm confident I'm going to get some franchisees in October.
Brilliant job, Lucy. That's so great. I've been totally inspired by you, my friend. You're really stepping out of your comfort zone. You put all of us to shame. Hey, I'd like to bring Judy King onto the call. Judy is currently in Sydney at the moment, but she resides in Bangkok, and she's up at, you must be up at 11:30 at night, Judes. So here's someone who won't make any excuses to do this business. But Judy's actually just come off the back of 2 months of massive action, and she was prepared to pull out after 1 month. But I think the 90-day game plan re-inspired her to keep going. And let me tell you, if anyone has any excuses to not take massive action right now, that's Jude. So Jude, I'd love you to share, what doing the massive action has been like for you. You're now 2 months into doing this sort of daily contact with people. Can you tell us a little bit about what that has done for your business and what it's meant for you?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for asking me to share. So Curtis and I had some really great success in the first 30 days. A lot of the people that were on the Massive Action group didn't quite have as much success as us. I personally got 10 new customers in that month of August, and I think it was 1 or 2 new franchisees, which had been quite consistent for us anyway. But in September, I was preparing and building up for where I am right now, which is my NLP trainer level certification, which I'm here for 3 weeks doing 12-hour days. And so I had a lot of study and a lot of preparation to do on top of teaching 3 to 4 classes a day and being a mother and also running a coaching business. So I just thought, it's really important to me that I do really well at this course, and I needed to invest more time outside of what we're doing for Juice Plus into this. So I just thought, you know what, I just can't do it all. I'm a bit of a realist like that. I like to take on as much as I possibly can and think that I'm Superwoman, but I also sometimes go, well, you know what, it's a little bit too much. But so that's why in September I stepped down from doing the Massive Action group so I could redirect my focus. But when I got onto the 90-day event, as a coach, one of the biggest things that I tell my clients is, well, firstly, you've got to focus on what you want. You've got to know what your outcome is, which is your why in the Juice Plus business. Focus on your outcome and nothing else. You need that laser point focus. Like a light bulb. A light bulb goes on and it's got lots of light beaming out in lots of different directions, and it lights up the whole room, and there's power in that. However, there's no clear direction in opposition to a laser, which is one clear pinpointed focus. And I knew that I had lots of things going on, but I still needed to maintain that laser focus with our Juice Plus business because it's really, really important to us. And I'd forgot that for a moment until I got onto the 90-day game plan event, and it reminded me of what I tell my clients, and as a coach, I need to kick up the ass sometimes too, right? I need coaching too. And so it reminded me of the other thing that I tell my clients, and that's being at cause with every single thing. What we say in NLP language is you can either be at cause or you can be at effect. And at cause is you can have results, or at effect you can have reasons. So at cause is I take full responsibility for everything that happens, and I can create everything that I want. I can find solutions for every aspect that I want. And being at reason is I've got all these excuses. So I decided that I was not going to let those excuses stop me from continuing on, because I knew if I was not going to continue my Massive Action for the rest of September, I knew October and November would be shit. I knew the momentum that we were building would collapse. And this is all about momentum, right? It's the snowball effect. So once you start, you start with a small little snowball, and once you start to build momentum, you can take down something 50% bigger. And once you continue going, you can take down the Eiffel Tower, whatever, so the key is really in that momentum. And I know that, and I knew that by stopping, I was going to lose that. So I said to myself, one of the questions in the 90-day game plan is, what are you going to give up? For me, it was I was going to give up my excuses of why I couldn't do it. So I said, right, put me back onto the Massive Action group. And I had a couple of days, personal things that, I dropped the ball, but, that we just get back on get back on track the next day, and we I made up for the time that I lost. So I think that even being here in Sydney and, doing 12-hour days, like right now, I should actually be preparing for my presentation that I have tomorrow, but I'm on the call. That even though I'm here, I'm still focused on sharing Juice Plus with people. We have 15-minute breaks every hour and a half, and I set myself the goal. There's 70 people in this training to speak to every single person in this training. So we have 15-minute breaks. I'm like, right, who haven't I spoken to? Right, I go start off and try to find somebody new. So it's all about focus. Right now, I have 2 focuses, and thankfully, I'm able to juggle that. But I think that we can either be average and stay in our comfort zone, or we can be fucking excellent and go into outside of our comfort zone, just like Lucy was talking about, because that's where the success happens. If you feel comfortable doing what you're doing, then you're not going to grow. So take the step out, go for it, and you'll be amazed with what happens, because we sure have been.
Oh, that's beautiful. I just muted myself. So thanks, girls. So yeah, those 2 girls are really following this Massive Action, and it works, guys. It honestly works. So all right, what are a couple of other things that need to happen? Well, we've talked briefly about social media. Think about who you're wanting to attract. We did a fantastic training with John Holowadi about identifying the sorts of people that you want to work with. So identifying the age group, the sex, is it male or female? Do they work? Do they not? Are they mothers? You know, what sort of money do they earn? What sort of job might they have? How might they like to spend their money? What are their desires? What do they do for recreation? So really identify that group of people that you want to attract and start posting towards that on your Facebook page. I learned recently about the concept of relaunching your business or launching your business. You know, tell people out there that you are in business. Now, it doesn't mean you have to post Juice Plus all over the place and, you know, I'm selling at half price and blah, 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 blah. In fact, the greatest thing you could do is post nothing about Juice Plus. Just create the curiosity. What it is you're doing with your health, what it is you're doing with your lifestyle, what it is you're doing in creating your financial future. So the more curiosity that you can create, the more intrigue that you can create on either your business page that you're about to set up or your own personal page, the more likely you are to start having those conversations. We know that Katie Ravey at conference talked about posting 9 times per day. For me, that's unrealistic to think about posting 9 times per day. You know, perhaps posting 3 times per day. Natalie talked about the importance of, you know, posting at 6 in the morning, perhaps posting at lunchtime and posting in the evening. But even if you can just post once per day, just being in the vision of maybe 30% of your contacts is better than not posting anything at all. So, and here's another thought for you. Go find some new friends. Go start playing in some new sandpits. Because if you keep playing in the same old sandpits every day and conversing with the same old people, you're not going to grow your network. So use social media to do that. Something else that's really important is start living the mission. Guys, you have to be a product of the product. You know, whether that be a product of the capsules, whether that be a product of the complete, whether that be a product of Transform 30 or Transform 120 or how to plate up or complete life transformation, whatever it is, start to live the mission every single day, because it's only then that you'll be in the right state to talk about health and well-being and the power of fruits and vegetables, and that's when those natural conversations will come up. But unless you are living the mission and being a product of the product, it's very difficult to have that belief and to talk with confidence. With regards to events, you need to be participating. It's not just good enough to get on an event and silently sit there and not post responses or give thumbs up or give little hearts. We need to have you participating. So don't forget that sometimes you need the event for you and your prospects, but sometimes the event actually needs you. Think about that. Sometimes your enthusiasm, your open-heartedness, your willingness to share in an event provides that event with vitality and energy. And sometimes someone else is going to benefit from that. So, put your whole heart and soul into the events that you attend, and make sure that you go to events even if you have nobody else to take. You know, sometimes the best events are me, myself, and I. You know why? Because it helps you to pick up the verbiage. I don't think I've ever heard a talk by Steve Coulter that I haven't learnt something on in 18 years. So think about that. I know that every event that you go to, you will learn something new. And let's talk briefly about follow-up. Who's doing their follow-up? Who's happy to say perhaps sometimes they procrastinate on the follow-up? Yay. All right. Curtis and I had a discussion about this the other day. And Curtis, I tell you, in the last 24 hours, you have absolutely shone, my friend. But here's the real secret to all of this, guys. Stop making it about you. If you are having trouble following people up, you've reached out to someone, you've provided them with information, the only reason you haven't picked up the phone is because you're worried about what they might say, worried that they might reject you, worried about they might say no. Immediately you are making this about you. Don't make up the stories that you think they are going to say. Your job is to be the messenger and not the message. You're just simply sharing with them an opportunity. You know, ask lots of questions. How did you find that link? What was the best thing that you found about that particular link that I sent you? If I could show you, would you? That's one of the greatest statements that you could learn. If I could show you a way to get more health, would you be interested in looking? If I could show you a way to make an extra $500 to help pay for your mortgage, would you be interested? If I could show you a way to free up some time so you can have some more time with your kids, would you be interested? You're just simply the messenger. You're not the message. So guys, don't be afraid of the follow-up. If you are afraid of the follow-up, if you're afraid of picking up the phone, sending the email, sending the SMS, it's because you're in your own head and you're making it about you. This is not about you. This is about how many people you can help. And so that is your job. Remember, your certainty in all of this needs to be greater than their uncertainty. And if you are uncertain, then you have to go back and rework on those beliefs again. So can you see how we're cycling back to the same old things? Vision boards, wise beliefs. Go back and work on them. Don't let your discomfort get in the way of the mission. Now, Jeff Roberti once said, there's only 5 aspects to this business. You got your pen and paper? You're going to write this down? This is genius. You guys have never, ever, ever heard this before. This is absolutely freaking new. 5 parts to our business. Number 1, share the product. Number 2, share the business. Number 3, build relationships with people. Number 4, attend events. And number 5, do self-development. Groundbreaking, wouldn't you say? No. You guys know this stuff. This is our business. Share the product, share the business, build relationships with people, get along to events, and do self-development. Guys, if you are doing that on a consistent basis, you are doing this business, you will not be able to help but be successful. I can promise you that. This system works. You just have to wash, rinse, repeat. You just have to have faith and belief that this works and work on your own belief and get to work. The last thing that I want to finish on is this. The absolute must that needs to happen in this business for you to be successful is that you have to involve your family. Because most of you on this call tonight, you're doing it for your families. Who here is doing this for their families? Your kids, your husbands, your partners, your parents, your support family. Without them, we couldn't do this business. Now, I sat down with my family last night because I realized, and we still haven't done this properly, but I realized that I actually hadn't sat down with them and said, hey guys, what do you want to get out of this? This is what I want, but what do you want out of this? What can we do together? What sort of reward are we going to give ourselves as a family when we achieve this goal? Because it's only when the kids help us out and they make their beds, clean their rooms, eat their dinner, go to bed on time. It's only when our partners and our husbands give us permission to do the things that we want to do and help us and support us. It's only then that we can achieve these goals, but it's not at the expense of our families. So figure out what your boundaries are. You know, if you get home from work and 5 till 7 is kid time, put that phone away, put it in the drawer. Don't be responding to SMSs. I've been terribly guilty of that family time being time when I'd respond to SMSs, texts, do presentations and so on. Figure out in your family what your boundary is and make sure that you're involving the whole family in this 90-day game plan. You know, make yourself accountable to your family as much as you're making yourself accountable to your team and your upline. Because at the end of the day, we're all doing this for our families and for our futures. So, you know, unless that team is on board with you, it's going to make it really hard to do your 90-day game plan. So I'm going to leave it there. I think I've spoken enough. Are there any burning questions or thoughts? I've seen all the beautiful things that you guys have written in the chat box. I'd like to thank both Lucy and Judes for sharing tonight and being on the call. I'd like to thank all of you so much for being open and honest. But now it's time to get to work. One of my wonderful franchisees, Carissa, once reminded me that there's 2 aspects to success in this business. One is your attitude and the other one is your action. So get with your attitude, get with your mindset, and then start to take action by doing the things, the simple things that we talked about. So I'm going to stop the recording and